Welcome to the Halal Fantasy Football League. This is I don't know what week it is, but we're doing a recap. Like I said the last time I was on the video, I said I'm busy, and I got even busier. A lot of things happened. The room is a little bit different. Spent a lot of time doing some renovation, along with like work, LDC, and operating committee stuff. And among other things, I got a new puppy. Oh, wrong one. This is Milo. This is the new puppy, Michiro. So, very busy. So we're trying to squeeze in a recap. Hardly watching any football. Been actually focusing more on baseball, as it is the World Series, Dodgers, Yankees. It was looking bad for the Yankees. The Yankees finally won one yesterday, and today, maybe the Dodgers close it out, and maybe the Yankees stay alive. But we move on. I'm still busy, so we'll just try to fly through these recaps. Like I said, I hardly watch football other than a couple of big headlines and watching the Lions. Oh, let's stop before that. We gotta have like a drink, right? I do have water. We're gonna have Underberg, which is bitters. I'm gonna take a bottle of bitters and just shoot it. It's very echoey in here. This room is super empty right now. Underberg. So this is for health. Whoa. Wow. Whew. Wow. That woke me up. Okay, the recaps. Mia Milo versus Aaron. So I pulled out the win, 130.10 to 102.5. I started Anthony Richardson, and the big headline is Anthony Richardson is no longer the starter. B. Thomas had a touchdown, 60 receiving yards, respectable, 13.5. JSN, 9.9. Alvin Kamara, after a pretty bad stretch, gives me a respectable score. Really good, actually. 67 receiving yards, 55 receptions. Receiving yards, 67 rush yards, I'm sorry. Trey McBride had a big time game, 124 receiving yards on 9 catches. Malik Neighbors, he's back and healthy, 71 receiving yards on 7 catches. Brandon Aubrey, not much, only 6.4. They lost to San Fran. Detroit D had a return touchdown, 2 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries. So paying off, 16.8. I have faith in that D. Off of my bench, Jameson Williams is suspended yet again. Jared Goff will now be my starter, I guess, 16.8. 3 passing touchdowns on 85 passing yards. How is that possible? He had the lowest yardage production for the most amount of points. This Lions team is kind of wild. He actually has more touchdowns than incompletions. Imagine that. Tyler Algier only 4.5, and Christian McCaffrey still injured. What else is new? Aaron had a solid game amazing game actually, from Baker Mayfield, 28.3 in a loss to Atlanta. AJ Brown, only 10.9. Devontae Adams. Okay, this experiment, trying to recreate the magic of yesteryear, has not worked for the reuniting of Adams and Aaron Rodgers. Walker had a down game too in this loss to Buffalo. Aaron Jones had a decent game though, 58 rushing yards, 37 receiving yards, 19 rushing attempts. Brock Bowers had a solid and decent tight end game, 8.3. 5 catches, 58 receiving yards. D-Hop, another transplant, goes from Tennessee to KC. And still, I guess you need that adjustment period, perhaps. Kaimi Fairbairn, big time kicking game, 104 field goal yards. The Buffalo D, a solid and 10 points. So, what you get, default out the box. You just maintain that. Chris Olave was a better start, not enough to catch up with me, but he had over 100 receiving yards. Madison only 8.3, Eckler only 8.46, and Pacheco is still on IR. GG Aaron. And then Eric versus long-suffering Raider fan, Gary. Eric had a really good game from Lamar Jackson, 289 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. Odunze, okay, 7.1 score. And then Darnell Mooney, okay, that's a really good score out of a wide receiver, 86 receiving yards and a receiving touchdown. Jacobs had a huge game for Green Bay. This might be is this his best game of the year? Perhaps 127 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. Breece Hall, in okay for a first round running back. We want more than that. Njoku, 61 receiving yards and a receiving touchdown. Amazing tight end score. So it was tight end week or tight end day, and he was one of those who did well. T. Higgins gave him a donut. Boswell had a huge kicking game, 110 field goal yards, 15 points. A strong Pittsburgh D game, 1 return touchdown. That probably carries it. That's 6 points, right? 4 sacks and an interception. It was probably an interception for a touchdown. Tua Tagovailoa, he's back, which helps all the Miami guys. 17.76, 234 passing yards. I think the headline for him the previous week was, he was like, I ain't wearing a Guardian cap, personal choice. I didn't know Guardian caps were like masks. McLaurin had 15 points, really good, 125 receiving yards. Tyreek Hill, slowly getting back. I guess we're going to need an adjustment with Tagovailoa. He had 72 receiving yards. Derrick Henry, solid as usual, 72 rushing yards. Chase Brown, 11.6, 1 rushing touchdown. Hunter Henry, a decent tight end game, 5 catches for 45 receiving yards. Stephon Diggs, oh, it says he's on IR, so did he do a really good job and then he... No. Don't bite that. He did a good job, but he got hurt. That's a tough loss. Will Lutz, only 4, and the Baltimore D, only 3.9. Off of your guys' bench, Eric had a bunch of donuts except for Braylon Allen, who had 10.4. Ooh, you got the handcuff. Nice. And then there's whoa. Why didn't you start Jaden Daniels? 25.14 plus that Hail Mary. The biggest headline of that was Tyreek Stevens or whatever his name is, the DB who was like taunting the crowd, and he came and then he tipped the ball, allowing for a successful Hail Mary and costing them the game. So you went from like under 20 points to 25.14 on that last play, but you didn't get to take advantage of it. Not that it would have helped. Maybe if you played Tracy Jr., the running back here, 145 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. Wow, that's a surprise. Debo had 11 and Davis at 5.34. So perhaps that becomes much more interesting. I mean, your running backs, like, start him. So I'm gonna do the math. I ain't got the time for it. Okay, Darren versus Jeremy. Jeremy beats Darren. Pat Mahomes. Oh, and Josh Allen just about equal. 22.48 to 23.92. Amari Cooper, another transplant, only got you 0.8. He fared better the previous week, I think, with a touchdown. Khalil Shakir, stacking Buffalo wide receivers. He was the better receiver on the day, 107 receiving yards on 9 catches. Bijan had a good game, 63 rushing yards, a receiving touchdown. So this might be, is this his best game of the best game? Best game? Let's take a look. Oh no. Oh, he's been great the past 3 weeks. Okay, news to me. Shows you how much I've been following football. Chuba Hubbard only 9.6. Travis Kelce on tight end day 20 points. Jordan Mason, I think he's a pumpkin now. Is it safe to say he's a pumpkin now? Because look at his season stats or his game logs. After all these double-digit games, he has 3 straight single-digit games and then a dud against Dallas, 2.4. Justin Tucker, 8.4. San Francisco D, 6.8. Off of your bench, Evans still out. Jerry Jeudy, a decent 10.4. Bucky Irving, 12.8. And Carlos Sutton, a really good tight end receiving score of 14.22. Over 100 receiving yards. So would have been nice to have him in place of Amari Cooper. For Jeremy, we already talked about Allen. Justin Jefferson, respectable 115 receiving yards. Tank Dell, an okay 35 receiving yards, but salvaged by that touchdown. Cook, big time running game. 2 rushing touchdowns, 111 rushing yards. So really good running game. Raheem Mostert, 2 touchdowns. Wow, all touchdowns, right? He had 19 rushing yards and 11 receiving yards, and most of that score is all touchdowns. So the Tunga Viola effect maybe coming back? Maybe. Kyle Pitts on tight end day, big time game, 2 receiving touchdowns. Jaden Reed, 7.12, not that great for him. Younghoe Koo, an okay 8.4, and then a bad Jets defense. Off of your bench, George Pickens, 9.4, 74 receiving yards and 4 receiving. I think the headline with him was him doing a toe tap. He got 2 feet down, but they were the same foot. Like, if it was the right foot, he tapped the right foot twice, the left foot never touched. It was like it was an incomplete pass that looked like it was the most complete pass ever, and it didn't count. Jalen Waddle, only 6.5, so I guess still need to have that reconnection with Tunga Viola. Sam Darnold has a solid 20.30. But Darren gets the win. He moves to 500. Jeremy falls to 3 and 5. Richie versus Morgan. Morgan has a new name. Last place hurts. Richie had a bad quarterback game from Jordan Love, 8.24. I guess he got hurt, right? Because Malik Williams had to come in, step in. Cooper Kupp is back and healthy. He got a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb, big time game. That's what we expect. 146 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. Might be the best receiver of the week. Kareem Hunt, another good game from him. He had a touchdown, 59 rushing yards. 21 rushing attempts. DeAndre Swift, another one. He took one to the house, 129 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. Kate Otten, tight end of the week, maybe. 2 receiving touchdown, 81 receiving yards, 9 receptions. Big time score. So, I don't know. There's something to that tight end day. Joe Mixon, back and healthy, 102 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown, 32 receiving yards. So he looking great. Seabird, another huge kicking game, 132 field goal yards. Minnesota D, your only dud. Off of your bench, Hawkinson. Oh, you snagged him, but he didn't play. Nice pickup. We'll see what happens with him. Connor, a really good game too, 15.9. Could you have played him in place of these? You would have got a little bit more than Kareem Hunt, but your running backs did well. Donut from Jennings and McMillan, only 7.3. For Morgan, a really big time game. Really, the only thing that kept you in it is Jalen Hurts scoring nearly 40. Is that 3 touch pushes? Drake London, only 5.4. Amon-Ra St. Brown, only 7.7. That's all touchdown. 6 points of that is all touchdown. Again, like we said, it was all special teams and defense getting them like ridiculous field position. They were always like on the Titans 30, And they only had to move a little bit to get that touchdown. They were already in the red zone. Najee Harris, big time game, 114 rushing yards. Tank Bigsby, another solid game, 78 rushing yards. Dalton Kincaid, another good tight ends play, 1 receiving touchdown. Brian Robinson, 9.7 on 65 rushing yards. Would have been nice if he could punch it in, but he gets a mediocre game. Reichard only 8.8. And the Philadelphia D, not that good either. Off of your bench, Zay Flowers did really well. 15 points, 115 receiving yards. Devontae Smith, another good... Oh, man. I guess this isn't catching Richie, who has a 155-point game. But these 2 receivers, definitely better than these 2 receivers. It's a tough... I guess it's a good problem to have. Like, if I'm ranking them, I'm taking Amon-Ra St. Brown first. This is kind of like an anomaly game for him. The others are tough. These 3, Smith, Flowers, and London, are about that same tier, that just right below the top tier. You have a good problem to have, I guess. And then Jordan Addison, 3.2. Mike versus Mike. Mike beats Mike. Oh, is this the best score of the week? 145? Yeah, Mike, you get the high score for the week. 25.5 off of Kyler Murray, lots of yards passing and 2 passing touchdowns. Ladd McConkey, oh man, 2 receiving touchdowns, 111 receiving yards. Yeah, so good receiving class. This rookie, here's yet another good rookie performance. Puka Nacua, 14.8, that's a solid game. Jahmyr Gibbs had a big time score. Most of this is on that 70-yard to the house touchdown. Looking crazy. Javonte Williams, only 8.9. Another good tight end score. Hopefully this bodes well for the future for tight ends. Maybe they just needed to hit tight end day. He had a receiving touchdown. J.K. Dobbins is a really good game. 57 rushing yards and a touchdown. Butker, solid kicking game. 66 field goal yards. Kansas City D, an okay 9.1. Off of his bench, Tony Pollard had a solid game, 15.2. They ran well in the first half, but then they bottled him up in the first quarter, and then they bottled it up the rest of the game. Wan'Dale Robinson, only 5.5. Rashad White, a solid running game, 14.8. Is that better than your other running backs? Better than Javonte Williams. But you get the high score of the week regardless. Mike L was the only 2-5 player who lost. Burrow, only 16.76. Xavier Worthy, he had a receiving touchdown. That salvages the score. Marvin Harrison, big time game, 111 receiving yards and a receiving touchdown. Zach Moss, not a good game. Jonathan Taylor, solid 105 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. Evan Ingram, another good tight end score, 1 receiving touchdown. McLeod, only 6.64 off of your flex. Jake Bates, a solid 12.67. He makes his first 50-plus yard field goal. And then the Houston D, decent 11 points. Off of your bench, none of these guys would have helped you. You got Kirk at 6.9, Singletary 3.5, Nico Collins 0, and then Taysom Hill 5.72. And then we go to the last game. Brad, who's killing the league, versus Zan Jam's Swag Team. I didn't get to talk about this, but I love the new name. So good credit to that great drafting by Xander. Bo Nix, wow, 3 passing touchdowns, 284. That's like a sneaky good move there. 33 points. Who's your other quarterback? CJ. You started him over CJ. So solid play. That's underrated move right there. Not everyone would have started Nix over Stroud. Garrett Wilson, 13 points, 113 receiving yards, 27 receiving yards for DJ Moore, only 4.6. Saquon Barkley, an okay game, over 100 rushing yards, but didn't get the end zone. Ramondre Stevenson, a huge game. He has 2 touchdowns. Pearsall, 39 rushing yards, 38 receiving yards. So a nice balance there. A threat both ways. However, they're running Pearsall. He's a wide receiver. Carlson, huge kicking game, 18 points, 135 field goal yards, and 3 extra points. The defense only 8.6, despite 2 interceptions and two sacks. I guess they just give up a little bit too much points. And then off of your bench, we already talked about Stroud. Myers had 14.2. Solid game, nothing from Deontay. And then Sam Laporta only 13.8. He did play the right tight end. James had a respectable score. Would have beat many other teams this week, but not Brad. Matt Stafford, big time game, 4 passing touchdowns. I guess it was just that game. Yeah, this is the Thursday night game. That was an exciting game. 4 passing touchdowns. That's what happens when you have your full complement of receivers back. Jamar Chase, decent, 15.9, 1 receiving touchdown. Rashad Bateman didn't do nothing. David Montgomery, he had a rushing touchdown and he had a passing touchdown. So a lot of fun to watch the Lions. Kyron Williams, a big time game. 97 rushing yards, 1 receiving touchdown. George Kittle, 128 receiving yards, and the final tight end that we're talking about today, and yet another great performance. Pittman, only 2.1. Joel Myers, only 5.3. And then the Los Angeles D, a solid 12.9 as they kept New Orleans to single digits. Off of your bench, Brock Purdy barely outplayed Stafford. 28.56 to 28.6. That 0.04 though is not helping you catch Brad. Dowdle got a donut. Nick Chubb, he had a pretty decent game but didn't find the end zone. 52 rushing yards. And then Calvin Ridley had a really good game. I guess it helped shipping D-Hop. Ridley did perform well in the first quarter, and then they kind of balled him up after. 143 receiving yards. So that is the scores for the week. Hopefully we can continue these back on and get back on our track. I'm sorry we missed the past couple. But like we said, we've just been busy. So we'll do these as they come. Alright. See you later. Bye. Say bye, puppy. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Bye.